Away from that, every year, World Intellectual Property Organization dedicates a theme for the World Intellectual Property Day, celebrated on April the 26th in 2025. The theme is IP and Music. Feel the beat of IP, aiming to raise awareness about the importance of intellectual property in the music sector. Now, music is one of the most powerful forms of human expression, transcending time and space. It is linked to copyright. Now, today, with a rapid circulation of musical content across radio, streaming platforms, social media, and online videos, it is essential to establish legislation that provides music creators with robust legal framework to protect copyrights in the digital environment. Now, joining us to discuss this is the Chief Executive Officer of the Music Copyright Association of Nigeria Limited, Mayo Ayelaron, who joins us via Zoom. Good morning, and thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning to you. Walk us through what it means to have this protection of copyright.
Thank you so much. First, the name of the company I represent is Musical Copyright Society Nigeria, MCSL. Intellectual property is what we created from our mind, from thinking, from the labor of our brain. Unlike the physical property that you can touch, you can lock up physically. Intellectual property, everybody has access to it. And once everybody has access to it, the owner of such creation has no more control over it. However, in order to bridge this gap or to block this hole, there are legal frameworks to secure your rights, to secure the rights attached to intellectual property. Intellectual property are in about 3 or 4 divisions as recognized under the laws in Nigeria. First is the copyright, which protects about 6 categories of works, namely literary works, musical works, artistic works, sound recording, broadcast, audiovisual rights. So once any of these is in the open space, is in the public space, there is nothing you as the creator can do to protect it. But with the provisions of the law, which essentially is the Copyright Act, you are able to protect it, not allowing anybody to steal it from you. Then the other aspect of IP, you have trademarks, you have designs, and patents. So these categories of intellectual property are protected under the various laws in Nigeria. And the effect is that it is only by activating the law that you can access the benefit if you are a creator. For example, as a musician, the only way you can protect your right, apart from when people hire you to perform on stage or to perform at their party, that music that you have composed and you release to the market is loose. But with the law, that is the Copyright Act, you can now decide who you allow to perform your work, to play your music, and at where, if it is outside the domestic environment.
All right, so permit me to come in here now, so we can put in a lot of conversation as we go ahead. Talk to us about the difference between an artist who is signed on a record label, for instance, and at the end of the day, because we've seen quite a number of that happening recently, at the end of the day, there is the debacle as to who takes what home between the artist himself or herself and the management. What is the conversation and the laws that guides intellectual property of the artist and the record label or the managers? What's the difference and what guides these two?
Rights is granted to the music composer, the person who composes the music, who is an individual. Then the lyricist, that is the author of the works, of the words used in that music. Then the publisher. These are the three basic primary owners of the copyright in a work. But under our law, we now have sound recording. Sound recording occurs when a group of performers or a performer performs and somebody records it with his machine and fixes it. So that first fixation is known as sound recording. This is where the record label comes in. So the agreement between the artist and the record label will determine who takes what home. However, in the past, we have had occasions where after the artist performs, the record label will say all the copyrights in the works and the sound recording belongs to them. But that is not the position of the law. For example, I may be a performer, that is an artist, but the songs, the music that I perform, recorded by record label C, may not be my own composition. I may have performed another person's original work. So there is no nexus between the original owner and the record label. This is to define properly that the musical works is quite different from the rights in sound recording. So the rights in sound recording is shared between the record label and the artist engaged to perform and record it.
All right.
So the agreement of how they share the proceeds is determined by the contract signed by both parties. However, where there is no clear contract available, there is a room to share this between them on a 50-50% basis. That is 50% goes to the artist, 50% goes to the performer. And don't forget, the artist in this case is not only the lead singer or the person whose face you see on the album. There are so many people behind the artist, the session men, the people who plays who play the guitar, the people who play the drums, the people who sings along with you as backup singers and so on. All these are performers. All these are artists who should be remunerated under the law.
So how do this?
If somebody now,
just a moment.
Yeah.
How do these people get their benefits when you have a script writer and a performer? And we've had cases where the artist will say, I own the song, and someone is out there saying, the song is not for you. I did the song, so why are you doing this? So how do these people come to a middle ground to ensure that they are all settled amicably?
Yes, the issue is that many of our people, when they write their songs and compose their music, they are looking for who to exploit it without thinking first how to secure their ownership of the work. So all they want is that, we want somebody, or I want to perform this work. They are looking for any label, any platform to express and to get these works across to the public. So along the line, some other people who are watching, like the eagle, may keep up the work and use it ahead of you, the owner. And by the time you realize, somebody has made millions out of it. So the first thing for a composer or a creator to do is to secure his copyright. There are so many ways you can do that. First, you can register the work and post it to yourself. Leave it unopened. It is safe with you. When there is a case, you take your slip from the postmaster and you open the envelope in the front of, the arbitrator, it is confirmed now that you are the owner, because the date, the stamp on the date on the stamp on that envelope will show when the work was actually made. Then secondly, there is the provision in the Nigerian Copyright Act that allows the Nigerian Copyright Commission to keep a database of works created in Nigeria. So an artist can take his works to the Nigerian Copyright Commission for registration. Of course, registration is not the basis for enjoying copyright.
Let me ask you this.
It is one of the basis for identifying the work with you as the owner.
Yeah.
Many people don't take these steps. And when somebody now use their work, they start to argue it is not your own, I did it and so on. But with such steps that I have explained, evidence will abound to secure who owns. Now, when there is dispute about this, we always advise them to resolve it amicably.
Speaking of you advising,
they have to approach the courts.
Sir,
Yes.
if you allow me to come in here, speaking of you advising, you are the CEO of MCSN, and you've been a player in this sector for quite a while. Have you encountered issues around stolen intellectual properties, and how have you been able to resolve that amicably between the owner and the other persons who come up? Accuser, thank you.
Yes, what we normally do is we advise them to resolve it among themselves. We will not impose our will on them, but we will advise.
So it has never resolved, you've taken it to the courts?
They can agree on a sharing formula.
You've never taken any case, you've never taken any case to the courts before?
If it is between individuals, that is somebody using my work without my permission, that is between artists. We have not done that. But when anybody uses the work either for his business or in a public space or to support his trade, then we have taken people to court over this.
So the reason why I'm asking this question, sir, is this.
We try so much to resolve.
The reason why I'm asking the question is this. The laws are there, and the artist knows these laws are there, as well as the record label and other players in the industry. They know the laws are there. Yet we still find, once in a while flouting of those laws. So my issue now is, how are these laws enforced? And if I come into an agreement as an artist, am I sure that my property is protected? And if it is, infringed upon, can I get justice for it?
Thank you so much. The law is there very well. Actually, the latest law on copyright that we have, that is Copyright Act 2022, has some new provisions that can be very, very effective in protecting your rights. However, you still need to activate the provisions of the law. Either as an owner or as a CMO, you need to activate the law. If you do not activate it, the law will just be sitting there dormant. And how do you do it? After seeking a kind of peaceful resolution of any dispute and they refuse, then you approach the court. And the courts, too, of course, we have some challenges are going to court. It takes a long time to finish instance. That is at the Federal High Court, because that is the first court that can listen to copyright matters before you go to the Court of Appeal and even to the Supreme Court. So it takes a long time, and it is so costly. So an individual may not be able to afford this, except such individual is able to secure the services of a lawyer who is passionate about the matter. Otherwise, your case may be going around. And another thing about the new law is that there are certain provisions that makes infringement or piracy or theft of copyright matter criminal. So somebody can be, taken to prison copyright. And I believe this will be the most effective and most not too long to determine matters, because once it is a criminal case before a court, it enjoys speedy hearing. And even before you go into hearing, there is likelihood that you may be remanded in prison. Once you are charged and brought before a court, the charges are read to you.
All right.
The next line of action will be, okay, remand him in prison until
it's a fine place,
and so on. And this may take weeks.
It's a fine place.
Everybody will want to avoid this.
Well,
yes.
It's a fine place to leave it, and we hope that your organization will go out there to create more awareness and sensitize Nigerians on their rights, talking about the intellectual property rights. But one crucial thing that they should also know is the trade secrets, which is also part of the intellectual property rights. But time will not permit us to get your reaction on that. I must say many thanks for joining us. CEO, MSCN, Mayor Ayilaron. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for being here.